Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for jumping on today's class with our partner and awesome friends at Omnia. Tanya Devane is going to bring a powerful presentation to you on cultivating success, growing talent from within, right, your team, and how you can leverage their awesome programs to help you with your existing team members and also new team members. I do just want to mention, we're going to show the link here at the end, and I'll chat it here in a moment, that I cannot recommend Omnia more. They were referred to us by one of the top Allstate agency owners in the country, and that means a lot to me. When I looked into it, started working with them over the past couple of years, I've never been more impressed with a company that provides the service they provide. In fact, no other company in this space provides the service they provide. There is no comparison. So check them out, omnia.com/Craig-Wiggins-coaching. I'll post that link here in the chat here in just a second. I highly encourage that you look into how they can help you, know how to better manage and develop your team and also build your team. But with that said, Tanya, thank you for taking time to share with us today. I'm excited to learn from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. And please, when he puts the link in the chat, I would bookmark it, but then come back here to the presentation so you can get some information as well. But that link will take you into where you'll complete the assessment, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But then you'll kind of have you get a self-awareness tool is what I call it. It's one of our development reports that kind of helps you understand who you are, your natural self, and how you come across to others, which is beneficial. And that's going to help you in talking about cultivating the success. I always say we kind of have to know who we are first, and then we need to know the people that we have on staff. And that's really what Omnia kind of helps you figure out. Just a little bit about me. I've been with Omnia for 14 years. I just made 14 years September 21st. I lead the customer success team. So when we're talking, when he was talking about the service we provide, I am the person that's leading the team that does provide the phenomenal service, along with giving you those great reports. We have been in business since 1985, and maybe some of you all did hear that we are based in Tampa, Florida. Everyone, if you're concerned, we all came out of the hurricane pretty unscathed compared to others. Everybody's house, car was fine. We have been scientifically validated twice, and the way that validation process worked was we had a big group of people that to take the assessment. They said, yes, that's them. Their supervisor said, yes, that's them. And then their colleagues said, yes, that's them. So we've done that twice, and we're actually on our third validation now. We really help you, like after you source the candidate, so after you've gone through Indeed or got your recruiter, that's giving you these resumes and the candidate that you want to interview or bring in for an interview, we then give them an assessment. It takes about 15 minutes to complete. If you click the link that's in the chat and go to it after the presentation, you will see exactly what that assessment looks like. It's a quick 15 minutes to complete. And it's going to help you understand, when we're looking at it on the hiring side, it kind of helps you understand who this person is. What are their innate traits? What are they motivated by, demotivated by? When we're looking at your existing staff, this type of assessment can help you in regards to understanding, do I have the right seats? Do I have the right people in the right seats? And then are we all going in the same direction? It also helps out if you have any conflict, put a Y in the chat. If you have any conflict or ever worked in a place that had some conflict and it wasn't the productive type of conflict, it was more of the unproductive type of conflict. I remember we did a cultural survey for a client one time, and one of the open form questions was, what issues or concerns are you having? And someone typed in the chat, typed on the form that sometimes they call in sick from work while they are in the parking lot. So just imagine this person took a shower, got dressed, fought the traffic to go to work, and then they called in from the parking lot just because the culture that there was a lot of stress, there was a lot of toxicity, or it was a toxic environment to her. Like she felt like it was toxic. So, understanding the people that you have on staff, understanding what drives them, what motivates them, and then them understanding their colleagues as well is beneficial. That's how you start cultivating success. because it's not just managing one person, it's managing the group, and we have to manage them as individuals, but we all have to play well in the sandbox together. And understanding that Omnia, understanding their innate traits will help you do that. Today, we're going to talk about how can we create strong leaders and individual contributors? How can we leverage that behavioral insight that I've been talking about to your advantage, help you retain those A players? And then what are some characteristics of successful salespeople, leaders, and support staff? We're going to cover all of that today, but I want to start out with a real quick exercise. So over here, you see there's some numbers, right? I'm going to give you about 10 seconds, and I want you to start with the number 1, find number 2, find number 3. So you're going to go in chronological order. And so after 10 seconds, I will ask you to please type in the chat what number you got up to. And so you're going to start with 1, and then you're going to find 2, and so on and so on. And we'll go ahead and start now. Okay, stop. Over there in the chat, go ahead and start typing in the number that you got. What was the highest number you reached? I see 12, 6, 12, 5. Yes. 10. 6, 9. Thank you. Thank you, Twana. Julie, 5. I love this. Okay, perfect, right? So now, it was a little difficult, right? I mean, you were looking for the number, you're searching all around. So now I'm going to give you some guidance. Now there's a grid. So just to let you know how the numbers are laid out, 1 is at the top left. Number 2 is in the top right. 3, and then it goes so on. So it's going clockwise. I'm going to give you the same 10 seconds. And now I want you to, after the 10 seconds, you're going to type in what number you got to and go ahead and start. And stop. All right, go ahead over in the chat. Let's see the numbers that you got to this time. Oh, I already see a higher number, 24, 14, 12, 14, 13. I'm seeing larger numbers, right? And you know why? Of course, I gave you a guide. I gave you some instruction. I gave you a grid. This is how you cultivate success, is understanding, because the people, we're people, we have a roadmap to our happiness. We have a roadmap to what makes us, excited to come to work, what motivates us, what demotivates us, what engages us. Because we are who we are. So we have some natural innate behaviors. And so if you could understand that, wouldn't it be so nice if you didn't have to guess about what does this person want? What does this person enjoy? And while you're having these conversations, it's also nice to have a little foundational piece. I like to say, a little guidebook in regards to who this person is. That's what the Omnia can help you do. And that's also what, when asking questions, when you're having meetings, when you're having one-on-ones, when you're doing reviews, people can give you this information as well. So you don't have to do all of the heavy lifting yourself of trying to figure out, what do my people want? I know, I had one employee that we did, we gave bagels, like we did bagels one day. It's kind of just like a team engagement. This is before I worked at Omnia. And people were saying, I don't know why they gave us bagels. I don't even like bread. I'm on keto. Or, it's just like some people are going to be negative Nellies, right? But we want to understand, well, what would motivate you? If bagels aren't it, what would you like? So sometimes asking questions can help too. So that's what this kind of exercise highlights in regards to, if you have a guide, it's a lot easier to go down that path of cultivating success. So why is cultivation important? One is retention. Here, a survey was done. 70% of the employees surveyed said training and development opportunities factored into their decision to stay. So when you're thinking about cultivating success, you want to think about retention rates, because if you, if you don't have to keep hiring new people because people are leaving, you're going to get some stickiness. You're going to get some team bonding, because when you bring a new person onto the team, you go through this whole cycle of team development. It starts with the forming stage, and then it goes to storming, then it goes to norming, and then it goes to performing. But every single time you bring somebody back, it starts at the beginning again to forming, because now we all have to find out and get to know each other a little bit more. So if you can retain the people, you're going to stay through that cycle and stay in that norming or performing phase a lot longer. And when you're in that performing phase as a leader, you're not doing any work in regards to managing the people, because the people are basically managing themselves. If there is a conflict that arises, they kind of take care of it themselves. It's when that forming and storming stage, when you have to really be, a hands-on manager, where you're kind of in it every single day, managing the conflict, managing the drama that may come up. And so if we can retain people, of course, it's wonderful. So that's why cultivation is important. Also, engagement. The employees are more engaged when they have opportunities to use their expertise and skills. We want to leverage their natural innate behavioral traits to their strengths. I know here at the Omnia Group, I have a team that some people love to have a lot of things going on at once. My other team members, they like to complete kind of one task at a time. Because of the job that they have, I can kind of assign different tasks to different people to keep both people engaged. So I have the people that like a lot of variety, they're kind of our pitch hitters. So when my long range people are working on benchmark studies, which means we're, doing a study of a client's top talent to build a benchmark for them so they can score candidates against, that's a lot of data. That's a lot of numbers. That takes time. And so I have people on staff that enjoy that down, in the minutia, the detail piece. And then I have other people on staff that they'll pick up the phone, they'll do the live chat, because they like being able to bounce from one thing to the other. And if I place them on a benchmark study, they'd be like, no, Tanya, I can't do this every day. So understanding what your people need, what they enjoy doing, can help in engagement. And it's not always about getting the ice cream truck or the bagels. Sometimes it's about the skills and that they want to utilize within the organization. And then lastly, when we're talking about cultivation development, companies with training programs have 218% higher income per employee than those without. So you want to have that some type of training, some continuing education, which I know not sometimes, you all have to do to keep license and certifications. So that can be kind of an incentive, or that can be something nice. I know it's work, but a lot of people do like to learn more. So thinking about different type of sessions they can join, or webinars that they can be a part of, looking at those things as development as well can be beneficial. Also looking internally, there could be somebody on staff right now that has a skill that they would love to share. Here at the Omnia Group, we have, and this is kind of a fun happy hour virtual type event, where there's a lady or a man, whoever, they have some talents within our organization. One was a painting, where you paint the picture, and like they teach you how to create the picture. And so we did that event one time where she was teaching us how to paint. Like, we all had the supplies, but we all did it as a team. So that type of development, when we talk about development, not everything has to be strictly for the business professional. Sometimes it's about just creating those bonds, leading over into engagement, but that makes that person feel like they have added something, added some value, added something to the organization, which can help in regards to retention and cultivating that success. So go ahead over in the chat. What are some of the reasons you think people leave your organization or leave a organization? Not saying that they're leaving you, but what are some of the reasons people do leave? If you want to go ahead and type in the chat, because I'm going to give you the top 5. Culture, perfect. Thank you so much, Greg, for participating. Management, yes. They want more money, yes, exactly. Growth, burnout. Oh my goodness, I don't think I have any of 5 left. Y'all are giving me all of them. But yes, feeling unappreciated. Thank you, Melissa. That's a big one. Yes, exactly. And as you can see, there are some things that you can control and some things that you can't control, right? So life changes. Sometimes people just change life. Maybe they get married, they move, something happens. That's not necessarily something that you can change. You know, if somebody gets married and they have to move to California, they have to move to California. Now, more money. People said that. And so, yeah, can you help that? Possibly, but that's not always in the budget. You know, we don't have the money tree in the back. Oh, you want 10,000 more? Let me go back to my money tree, as my mom and dad used to say when I was younger. Let's go to that money tree. Sometimes money is not, it's not necessarily an option. Then you have better benefits. People will leave for better benefits. Now, this is something that you can kind of have some impact on. Maybe you're given unlimited vacation. Maybe you're doing flex time. There are, maybe you're matching something with retirement funds. So there may be some wiggle room you have there. And then pour into personal relationships. This is something that you can kind of help with the Omnia. During the interview, you're interviewing not only for the skill, but are they going to be a fit into the organization? Like, how have they handled conflict in the past? Tell me about a time you disagreed with the boss or a colleague. What was the situation? What was the outcome? What I'm listening for is how they handle stressful situations so I can understand, are they going to be a great fit into our organization? And then lastly, someone mentioned for promotion or increased job responsibilities. This is something that you can also have some flexibility in. Not every promotion means that they want to move into a new role, or excuse me, like a higher role. It could be a lateral move. It could be them just getting more responsibility. Maybe they're on higher value clients or higher value accounts. Maybe they're going to be your celebration captain and they're going to be part of your engagement squad. So you want to look at your organization and see where can this person's assets add more value to my organization. That's how you start cultivating success, because Melissa mentioned about feeling unappreciated. Or, I mean, not that Melissa was feeling unappreciated, that people leave because they feel unappreciated. And so we want to make sure that the people feel that when they come in, that they're not just checking a box, they're not just filling a seat, that we need them there because of who they are and what they bring to the organization. That can go a long way. That can actually go more than money sometimes. I'm not saying that people will say no to a raise, but people feeling that you truly appreciate what they do and that it's genuine, that's going to go much longer than giving bagels. I can tell you that for sure. So now let's talk about cultivating strong leaders and individual contributors. Management is not the only way to grow. So like I said, you can go lateral, you can go up, which is nice to know. Excuse me. But what you need to know first, right out the gate, before anything else, you need to know if the challenges that you're seeing or the challenges you think you will see if they move to a different position within your organization, whether it's head, heart, or hand. Head meaning, do they have the knowledge that is needed for the role that they're in, for the role that they want to go to? Because now we know where to attack if they don't have the knowledge. Okay, we need to get you up to speed. I know you want to move over to XYZ department, or you want to move over to this position. The way I'm going to cultivate that and make that grow, because this person wants to move forward. They want to do something else within my organization, which is wonderful. I would love for employees to come to me and say they want more. They want to do something else, because that means they're not feeling challenged enough. So let me help you. And maybe they don't have the skill set right now to move over, but now we're going to start creating a plan, because I know that it's the head part. The knowledge piece isn't there. So we need to get the knowledge. The next is the heart. You want to understand the passion, like why are they looking for this? What's behind the I want to move forward? And so then you can start kind of feeding that a little bit. And then the last one is hand. Do they have the tools? Do you have the tools that you can provide them? And these are like the physical tools that they may need to complete, the access to the system? Do they have the certification that they need to take that next step? Understanding head, heart, hand is going to kind of help you start moving this person in the direction that they want to go, and you being able to help them move in that direction. And so it's not just out there going blind, like, trying to figure this out without my Waze or my Google Maps to help me. Head, heart, hand is going to be that Google Maps for you. It's going to help you a little bit in regards to getting them going. And then when you're developing your team, you want to map the path within the organization. You want to make sure that it's clear, that they understand. And this is, you kind of start this during the interview as well. Because if you are an organization that, you don't have a lot of upward mobility, this is something that you want to understand during the interview. So someone doesn't come in thinking one thing, but it's really something else. And so you want to map the path within the organization. During interviews, I would talk about the career path that a person would have within, the company that I was working for, and see if that's something that they were looking for. I talked about this a couple of times, is lateral versus upward. Both are growth. Don't think just because you don't have a higher position that, this person may leave you. As long as sometimes people just want to feel more of a challenge. So maybe, again, they're moving to larger accounts. Maybe they're moving to different lines of business. Maybe they're adding new lines to the business that they're already writing. Both of those can be both of those can be promotions or challenging or giving them more of a challenge in their role, which sometimes when people say promotion, they may be just looking for a bigger challenge. Now, of course, some people are looking for money, but once again, we want to kind of ask that question, understand that heart piece, the why behind the what, so we can help kind of diagnose and come up with a solution. And then decide on goals together. You want to have that conversation. You want to have that check-ins with your people. Excuse me. And I always like to say check-ins, not checkups. You go to the dentist for a checkup, but you want to check in with your people, because when we're talking about cultivating, think about when you're planting seeds and when you're watering. You don't just plant the seed and okay, it's going to spring up by itself. No, we have to do some interaction. We have to interact. We have to talk to the plant. We have to water the plant. We have to feed the plant. You think about the same thing when you're looking at your team. You have to do more than just say, well, here's the next step. If you're looking for a promotion, here it is. You're going to have to kind of have some conversations, or you're going to want to have some conversations, I would say, and kind of decide on the goals together. What are they looking for? What are they needing? What do they want? What is their long range goal? And then you want to put the plan in writing. When something is written down, it feels more official than us just having this conversation. So while we're having this check-in conversation, which can be a little informal, after the conversation, let's go ahead and put pen to paper and make it more formalized. And so now, we can have little goalposts that people are reaching for when we're doing our reviews. Including the development piece in your reviews can be beneficial, because sometimes people feel like, I'm just getting a review, just give me my raise and let's move on. But let's make our reviews more impactful, more meaningful by adding those development pieces, and then having a timeline of when we'll check in to check that progress. And that one keeps it fresh on everybody's mind, but also lets them know that you are in this with them, like you're working this plan with them. You want to see them be successful. So now you want to ensure that we're providing the tools that they need. You want to encourage individual accountability. Once again, I don't think leaders need to do all of the heavy lifting themselves. This is, we are a team. You are a part of this team. So I'm going to need you to be a part of your success with this organization. I never think accountability is a bad word. I like accountability. If I know that I'm going to be held accountable for the same thing that John is being held accountable for, then wonderful. Now that can raise everybody's game up, because now everybody's being held to the same level. So encourage that individual accountability. Also, having a clear job description. Before you bring someone on, you want to have a job description of what their responsibilities are. And then you want to have a job description for all the other positions in your organization, So that can help someone figure out where they want to move within the organization. I know when I was interviewing people, I would show them our job description and say, these are, this is the job description, so they can come in with a clear understanding of what our expectations are of them. And so you want to have that clear job description. You want to have transparency. We don't want to have a gotcha moment at all. So these are the expectations. These are the requirements, education, certification, having everything listed clearly so there's no ambiguity in regards to what needs to happen to make it to the next level. And then have some internal and external training classes. I mentioned that earlier about there could be some people on staff right now that has some insight. We have Omnia Learning Labs where, once a quarter we have, we either have somebody come in or we will look at a LinkedIn learning session to learn something a little bit more. And this is not a forced fun activity. We have it open. You can join if you would like to join. If not, that's okay too. But you want to provide some training classes for them to help them move in the direction that they want to move. And that once again, that's going to help you cultivate that success. And then job shadowing. If you already have somebody doing the job, why don't you let, John go over there and sit with Jane for a little bit, see what Jane does, because maybe John didn't understand that's how the sausage was made. Because I have I've had a couple of service people who wanted to move over to sales because they see and hear about all of the successes of sales, but what we don't hear sometimes is how long did it take that salesperson to get there? How many phone calls, how many no's did they hear before they got to that yes? And sometimes job shadowing can help illuminate, what, this is not what I thought. Just think about all the college kids that have gone in one career, but they are not using that diploma, or excuse me, that diploma that they received, because once they got out there, they're like, yeah, no, this isn't for me. I know I have a friend who went all the way up for master's to be a teacher. She is not a teacher right now, just because it wasn't what she thought that it was going to be. So job shadowing is beneficial to kind of give them a heads up of what this will look like in the future. And then lastly is succession plan. You want them to see that you think that they're going to be a part of the success of this organization. So providing that succession plan of what that looks like is beneficial. So now that we've kind of talked about how to make individual contributors and moving in and how leaders, how to help them become leaders, let's talk about that behavioral insight that can truly help you. Is really that guidebook. I have many clients said that it's like I have a crystal ball when I'm talking about the person that they're thinking about bringing on. So we're thinking about that cultivating of success. People will have some level of assertiveness. So go ahead and type in the chat. If you think that you are naturally, go ahead and type in the chat a number 1. If you think that you are naturally assertive, that you think that you are just this assertive person, no one has to prompt you. You just automatically, I'm an assertive, competitive, self-starting, I enjoy a type of challenge. Go ahead and type a 1 in the chat if you think that's you. Thank you, Kelly. Is Kelly our only assertive? Oh, nope, I have Tawana. Thank you. All righty. So Kelly and Tawana are naturally assertive type people. So now for everybody else that didn't type in the chat, I want you to type a 2 if someone messed with your mom, your dad, your parent, your husband, your wife, your partner, your dog, your child. If someone messed with them, would you just type a number 2 if you would assert yourself in that situation and say, don't you mess with my mom, don't you mess with my dad, don't you mess with little Pookie or Coco or whatever your pet's name is, or your child. So, right, Garland put 2 with exclamation points. So this just goes to show you that everybody has this uber level of assertiveness, right? But sometimes people have a more natural piece, Where like Tawana, she said, I don't need any prompting. I'm asserting myself, I'm an assertive person. Where Garland was like, no, I need a little prompting, meaning if somebody messes with something that I hold dear, I'm going to assert myself in that situation. So both people are assertive, just one needs a little prompting. You have these people on staff. You have some people that are naturally assertive. They are they are competitive, and they want to assert themselves in situations, which is fine for some roles and some positions. And we'll talk about that a little later about where this column one is best suited. Then we have other people on staff that are helpful, supportive, collaborative, which is also beneficial. You need both of these on staff. But what you want to understand when we're thinking about how to retain and how to cultivate these individuals is the ones we want to ensure that they're feeling this challenge, that we want to ensure that they are allowed to have that assertiveness that serves them well. But then for our number twos, our column twos, and when I'm saying column one and column two, Omnias are, we speak in columns, and you can see the little diagrams on the side about a column one and a column two. And when you click on the link, you will also get to see your own columns of whether or not you're a one or a two. But when you have your column twos, then these are the individuals that to motivate them, to keep them, to retain them. You want them to understand how their piece of the puzzle makes up the entire picture. Your column twos don't have to have the biggest piece in that picture, but they want to know that their piece makes a difference. So that's how you kind of motivate and keep that column two engaged. The next thing you'll have to kind of retain your employees is communication style. Now, literally, I could talk about communication style for 60 minutes. I won't today, but I could, because it's kind of like what your mom and dad taught you. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Communication style 3 and 4 is where a lot of conflict happens. Go ahead and type a Y in the chat if you have ever sent or read an email with an attitude. I'm typing Y's all day in the chat. I have read an email with an attitude, because like, why did she say it that way? I mean, I've added all types of tone and inflection to these words that I'm reading that the that the sender probably did not intend. But because, when we're looking at communication styles, people communicate differently. A column 3 is someone that's gregarious, great at building relationships and rapport, where a column 4 is someone that's more analytical and fact-oriented and speaks in specifics. So you can already see that these people communicate differently. And so that's why sometimes when someone says something, you're like, well, why did she say it that way? And then you say something, you're like, I didn't mean it that way. That's not what I said. Or sometimes during the interview, I've had clients say, Tanya, she was like a wet noodle. It was like I was pulling teeth. And that's because that client was a column 3. So they're very relational in their style. And the person they were interviewing is a column 4. Understanding that can help when you're bringing people on, but also think about how beneficial that would be when you're having a conversation. If I already know when I go talk to Anna, that Anna is this relational type of communicator. So I'm going to say, how are you doing, Anna? How was your weekend? Thank you so much for helping out. I know the clients really enjoyed that. All of that is feeding into Anna's column 3. I don't know if Anna's a column 3. I'm just saying that. But now let's say if I was talking to Garland. Garland, thank you so much. I like the way you handled that call with XYZ and did not have to escalate it. The advice that you gave was perfect. So now I have given Garland I've communicated with Garland the way that she likes to be communicated with. I have congratulated both of them, but Garland likes to have a little bit of meat behind my words, where Anna is more of that relational. Me giving her, the kudos is good, especially if I do it in a more public fashion. Column 3s enjoy a little bit more public kudos, where column 4s enjoy a little bit more private eyes. I remember I had an employee, and for birthdays, we would go and say, we bring them into the training room, say happy birthday. We would sing happy birthday. They would get a chocolate cake or the cake of, the flavor of cake that they want. And I had an employee come to me and she was like, Tanya, I don't want the cake if I have to go into the training room and be put, be put center of attention and be the spectacle. She literally used the word spectacle. If I have to be a spectacle. And I'm thinking, you're denying yourself of chocolate cake. And when I tell you this cake is absolutely delicious, it's absolutely delicious. And she was like, yeah, I just don't want it. And so we've changed it up where she was not, we didn't put her center of attention because she didn't like that. And that's because she is a column 4. And where a column 3, they typically enjoy that. But understanding who you have on staff, understanding how to communicate with each other is going to save a lot of time and heartache, because now we're not going to be reading emails with attitude. We know when Tammy sends an email and she's to the point, it's not because she's being direct, blunt, or rude. That's just her communication style. That, she understands that maybe she has to put a hello, how is everyone doing before her email to kind of soften her approach a little bit. And for the column 3s, when you're talking to a column 4, maybe, bullet pointing your thoughts or the topic. So a column 4 can understand it better. And so that's what happens when you understand those innate natural behaviors and you start using those to your advantage. One, that communication is going to raise up. And when you raise up communication, everything else kind of falls in line almost, because communication is the key. I'm going to stop right there. Like I said, I could go on forever about communication style, because it is 3 and 4, or whether or not the person is relational or analytical, can help start some great conversations and can help stop some negative conflict that can happen. So now we have another exercise before I go to our next behavioral piece, which is columns 5 and 6, which measures the pace. So for this one, I want everyone to close their eyes. Of course, I can't see you, so if you don't have your eyes closed, that's fine. I don't want you to go to sleep. But when you think 30 seconds has elapsed, go ahead and type 5 in the chat. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and then when you think 30 seconds has elapsed, type 5 in the chat. Now, you can't use your phone, your watch. You have to use your own internal clock, but you can do 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, if that helps. So I want everyone to go ahead and start. All right, stop. So I saw Maria Maria, I'm assuming she opened her eyes. It was at 26 seconds. So now let's all imagine that we work for Maria, and Maria has assigned us a task that literally takes us 30 minutes to do. No matter if I had a jetpack on, I can't get it done quicker than 30 minutes. But Maria thinks 30 minutes is 26 minutes. So she's coming to my desk saying, Tanya, where's my report? Well, I still have 4 more minutes, Maria. Can I get my 4 minutes? And that's because her time clock, her internal clock is a little bit faster, right? But now let's start thinking, instead of 4 minutes for 30 minutes, now it's an hour. So now that's 8 minutes. And you can see how that time can start progressing, And that's why sometimes some of us feel a little frustrated with other people because our internal clock is quicker. So we're wondering, like, why haven't they done it? I could have done that 5 times by the time they give it to me. Of course, we don't always say that, or we shouldn't really say that, right? But we're thinking it internally, like, oh my goodness, what's taking them so long? That's because our column 5 and 6, and when we're talking about cultivating success, this column right here, or these columns right here, it's the columns that can truly help you start putting people in the right positions, or giving them the responsibilities that really speak to and engage them in the way that they want to be engaged. excuse me, columns column 5 measures, columns 5 and 6 measures pace. So a tall column 5 is someone that is multitasking, quick pace. They like to have multiple things going on at once. They like to have a lot of variety. Where a column 6 is someone that's a little more methodical and routine oriented. They like to complete one task before moving on to the next. So just as I'm saying these adjectives and saying these words, you can start picturing what type of positions in your organization may need a 5 or may need a 6, or what type of responsibilities maybe in some of these positions would be more beneficial from a 5 or more beneficial from a 6. And so now when you're thinking about cultivating the success that you have within your organization, understanding, do I have a column 5 on staff or do I have a column 6 on staff, can be beneficial, because now I want my organization to work as efficiently as possible, as well as keep my employees engaged as much as possible. And so I was telling you that story earlier about how I have some employees that are benchmark study specialists that handle the benchmarks for our clients. And so while they are doing that, because that's a column 6 type of role, I have my column 5s doing other things to help the column 6s not get interrupted. Now, of course, not every position, not all responsibilities can be broken up between a 5 and a 6. But if you have some, that's how you can start keeping some of your 6s motivated and some of your 5 motivated, because now they have little blips of their day that is strictly kind of curated for them in regards to the pace that they like to work. Now, we all understand that we all basically live in a column 5 environment, because when I have sent you a message, you have probably gotten it on your phone, your watch, your laptop, your iPad. You've received this message multiple ways, right? And we are all waiting to get the response. So like, why haven't they responded? I see the bubbles. Why did the bubbles go away? Where are the bubbles? And so we want to, we understand that. But then now, how do we help people that maybe aren't column 5s? Because we need our column 6s. I need my benchmark study people, because they enjoy the long range type of responsibilities which a benchmark study can be. And so the way I help is by giving them a heads up of when something new is coming down the pipe. When I'm looking at goals, I give them the long range goal, where for my column 5s, I break up the goals in smaller chunks, because column 5s like to feel that win. So, you're kind of thinking about running, with hurdles or running over hurdles. You get up enough speed to get over the next hurdle. That's what column 5s are doing. That energy that they're moving from one task to the next, and they're able to check off the box. I've done that. That's completed. I did that. Gives them enough speed to get over to that next hurdle. And that's what we're looking for when we're looking at trying to motivate our team. We want to make sure that we're motivating them as individuals. In that column 5, I'm going to give them these little wins. My column 6s, I'm going to give them the long range plan so they can understand it. And I'm going to give my column 6s a priority timeline and checklist. So they kind of know if somebody's calling in for an address change, that may not be as important if someone's calling in for a payment. So then they'll know kind of where to put things in the hierarchy in their day. So now they don't feel as flustered as as they may if they just got all of these things all at once. And now what do? I have 6 things I don't know how to prioritize. And so I'm going to help my column 6s with with prioritizing their work. And it's not every single time something comes in, I say, okay, that's a 911, so do that. But just giving them a little cheat sheet can help them immensely. So now, when we're looking at the last behavioral traits that we measure, let's look at this making a sandwich. So if I ask you, I want you to make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you've never made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich before, and so you start, right? So you look at these instructions. Go ahead and type a Y in the chat if you think these instructions are detailed enough for you to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or type a no in the chat if you think, nope, I couldn't make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with these measly instructions that you gave me, Tanya. So Y if you think the instructions are good, no or N if you think the instructions are not that great. Okay, I'm seeing Y from Garland, James, yes, thank you. Kelly, yes, thank you. I like my instructions. Melissa, Holly, thank you, right? So I see no no's, but I did this presentation with a colleague, and she has a higher attention to detail than I do. And she was like, no, I couldn't make this sandwich because I don't know if you want 60% peanut butter, 40% jelly, or 60% jelly, 40% peanut butter. I don't know if you want the bread toasted. Do you want the crust left on or off? I'm not set up to be successful in making this sandwich. And my little heart was crushed, I will tell you, because I scoured the internet looking for detailed instructions. I mean, look at this. Open the jar, put the knife, pick up the knife by the handle, insert the knife into the jar, withdraw the knife, take a this is a lot of instructions for a measly sandwich. And so she really busted my bubble. But that just highlighted to me how people in our organizations sometimes feel. And it comes down to that column 7 and 8, the need for structure. You all have probably assigned a task, and we have this buzzword, and it's a good buzzword: empower. Empower your people. Empower your people. Everybody wants to feel empowered. No one in your organization wants a micromanager, but we have to ensure that we're empowering them the right way, right? And so I thought I was empowering my people with this, with how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But my colleague informed me that I was not, because I did not provide enough instruction. And that's what sometimes happens in our organization. We're thinking about, we're cultivating success, and we're trying to, engage our people, trying to retain A players. Sometimes our A players don't feel like they have been set up for success properly because they weren't giving enough information. And if that keeps happening, that's going to lead to them wanting to leave because they feel like they keep failing or falling short because they're not getting the job done in the way that they think you want it done. And so when we're looking at column 7 and 8, column 7s are your independents. These are your big picture focused individuals. These are the ones that would rather delegate out the details and kind of just do the big picture thinking. They are resilient individuals. On the other side, you have your column 8s. The column 8s, they have a high attention to detail. They're making sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. These are the ones that are striving for perfection. These are the ones when you say, can you pull me the renewals for last quarter? And you're thinking, well, should I do it by alpha? Should I do it by date? Maybe they want it by volume. And so all you want is the renewal report, right? But I'm sitting here with trepidation if I'm a tall column 8 because I don't want to get it wrong. And then remember those column 2s earlier, the ones that are helpful, supportive, collaborative, the ones that are a little risk averse. So now imagine if I'm a column 2 where I don't, I'm not just naturally assertive, and then I'm also an 8 striving for perfection, wanting to get it right, don't want to get called on the carpet for doing something wrong. I can be sitting at my desk with trepidation, not knowing which way to move because I don't want to get it wrong, but I don't want to ask you a question because I don't want you to think that I don't know, because obviously you think that I should know, so why don't I know it? And all the time it's because I, as their leader, did not set them up for success. I did not say, I need can you pull the renewals up, for last month, and can you sort it by alpha? And can you do this for me on the 15th of every month? So guess what? Now I have set her up for success. On the 15th of every month, I'm going to have the renewals on my report the way that I want them. And now she's happy, I'm happy, she feels empowered because now she's empowered to do this report on the 15th of every month. I have done everything right there. And she's going to feel good about that. I have now cultivated success. She feels good about her job, especially for this one responsibility that I've given her. That's why understanding, who you have on staff, their innate natural behaviors are so important. And if I gave too much information to my column 7s, they're going to feel stifled because the column 7s, they like to kind of express themselves. They like to be able to spread their wings and kind of chart their way. And so we want to make sure that we're motivating that we're giving them that opportunity to express themselves. But with our column 7s, we want to make sure that we give them the fine lines because we don't want E&O concerns. Nobody wants errors and omissions. So these are the things that must happen on all accounts. You have to have it. And so then be creative however else you want in regards to how you got the sale or things like that. You can be creative that way, but some things written in stone. And so our column sevens, I like to say, like to ask for forgiveness, and our column eights like to ask for permission. Now, everyone's asking questions, right? Just some people are asking beforehand, some people are asking after. And different positions, it's fine to ask after. Some positions you really need to ask before. And that's what we're going to start going into next about these behaviors, what makes more successful people in regards to leadership, sales, and support. So we're talking about the key characteristics of most successful leaders, sales, and support personality. So think about this. So when we're looking at that assertiveness, remember those are our columns 1 and 2. Comfortable being proactive and handling confrontation. That's typically going to be our producers, our leaders, and sometimes our selling CSRs, because they have to upsell, cross-sell, so they can get into some type of conversation. So they need to be a little proactive. Where our column 2s, which are our risk-averse, non-confrontational, and helpful people, can also be selling CSRs. There's a little fine line between that assertiveness and non-assertiveness where people can kind of fall equally, where they have a little bit of both. And then our traditional CSRs. Think of people that just service, they are not responsible for upselling, cross-selling. And then any of your support staff, your accountants, receptionists, IT, help desk, can all be that more column 2 type of individual. So, understanding these traits, 1 can help when you're hiring, 2 can help when you're cultivating your team, when you're having those discussions, when you're having those one-on-ones. And then the employee communication style. So remember, we talked about that column 3 and column 4. The column 3s are the enthusiastic, gregarious type of individuals. Now, this is a very broad statement when I say personalized. Can a fact-oriented column 4 work in personal lines? Sure. So this is just a really broad statement. But you think about personal lines because people are attached emotionally to their things. This is my house, my car. These are my personal things. And so you think about that column 3 typically has a little bit more of that emotional type of communication style. But once again, when I'm looking at communication style, a 4 can do commercial, a 3 can do personal, and vice versa. But fact-oriented, reserved, serious demeanor, commercial lines. Because those are businesses, so it's usually facts, figures, data, numbers. And so again, this one right here is a bigger umbrella statement than the other ones, but this is just kind of the flow of how it usually goes, what we have seen historically. But a personal lines in all positions can be a 4, and a commercial lines in all positions can be a 3. When we get to 5 and 6, remember that was the pace, multitasking, able to handle many tasks. You typically see leaders in sales and selling CSR because there's a bunch of moving parts that they have to kind of keep their eye on, or there's a lot of variety. But I stated earlier how almost we all live in this column 5 environment. And most of my clients, when I'm looking at, building positions for them, almost all of them want a column 5. And sometimes I have to talk about, do you really need a column 5? Like, how busy is your office? How many lines does the receptionist have to deal with? Or talked about phone lines. And so the other thing is you have for column 6 is that methodical, need focus on one thing at a time. It's the traditional CSR and support type roles. But again, most of my clients want a column 5 in all of their positions. So, but when you're thinking about this, think about your actual office. How busy is it? How much variety is the person going to have? And then you look at that employee autonomy. So that's the column 7 and 8. Resilient, likes charting their own course. That sounds like leaders, sales, selling CSR. And then that column 8 is the precision and clear upfront expectations are paramount. Think about when is quality paramount? Where quality is over quantity all day, it's typically going to be on the service side or support staff. So when you're thinking about trying to cultivate success, when you're thinking about retaining your A players, this is what you want to look at, the traits that they naturally bring to the table and what position naturally fits those. Everybody has strengths, everybody has challenges, but what you're looking for, the strengths that they're bringing to the table, what is more beneficial in that particular role. So as I come to a close today, The takeaways I want you to walk away with is and self and employee self-awareness, excuse me, self-awareness for yourself as well as your employees' innate behaviors are beneficial when we're thinking about cultivating success within your organization. You need to know who you are, you need to know who your people are, so you can start cultivating them and developing them in a way that engages them. Training, everybody wants to have some more training. Everybody wants to learn a little more, understand a little more. Goal setting, if we're not working towards something, why are we working? You want everyone kind of moving in the same direction, going for something that will add a little bit of that passion, or not necessarily passion, but a little more of that oomph behind why they're doing what they're doing. They're doing it to make it happen. They're doing it to reach the goalpost. Coaching, leadership is hard sometimes, and it's because you have to be a little hands-on in regards to helping move them through, help building them up. And then performance reviews, and make it meaningful performance reviews where there's something attached to that, and not just a raise, but a development plan that we are like, I am invested in your future with this organization. And so this performance review is more than just the extra money, which I know is nice. Don't get me wrong. We all want it, but there is something else behind this performance review. I want to thank you all for joining me. I will open it up for questions if anyone has any. This is the website that you're going to go to. As you can see, you get a free report. You complete the assessment, you'll get a free report. Just so you can understand, you can kind of start on that path of that self-awareness and understanding who you are, and how you come across that communication style. Are you a little direct or blunt in regards to, the direction that you give? Do you need to give a little more information when you're assigning tasks? This is the breadth of all of our reports. The development reports are on the side, and then the hiring reports we have are on the right-hand side. Again, I'll open it up for questions, and this is my contact information if you have any questions and you don't want to say it in the chat.
Awesome. So leave it on this slide here, y'all, so that you can have Tanya's contact information, reach out to her. I sent out the chat. It was on the slide just a moment ago as well. omniagroup.com/Craig-Wiggins-coaching. Y'all, when I first saw this tool a couple of years ago, I took the assessment. Now, Tanya, on our last live training, I actually pulled up my assessment from a few years ago, and I showed everybody. I even put a link. I've dropped it in the chat so people can download it. I'm an open book. It is the most accurate assessment tool that I've ever read. And as I was reading the results, at first I was thinking, but then I was like, wait, maybe.
The good,
so
the bad,
accurate.
the ugly.
It's an amazing tool. And y'all, because you're a member of the CWC family, the Craig-Wiggins Coaching family, they've got some really great programs. Just check it out. When they go to that website, they fill out the form. What do they get? They're able to kind of see what the experience is like. They can see the examples.
Yes. So when you fill out the form, you go into the assessment, actually. So you'll get to take the assessment, and then you'll get your results. Now, not immediately, because what's going to happen is so we have to send you the results, but you do get your results as well. So you'll get to experience what your employees will get to experience if you're looking to develop, or what your candidates will experience if you're looking to utilize us for hiring.
Well, it's a wonderful program, and I think it's amazing. Anna, so after you take the assessment, they'll compile it and send you the results. Once you have your program set up with Omnia, unless it's one of the very customized plans that y'all do, once they have a team member or a recruit take the assessment, it's pretty instant, isn't it? Doesn't it go to them pretty quickly?
Yes.
Okay, so keep that in mind. But yeah, Anna and others on this call, I highly recommend that you check out Omnia. It's managing multiple people with different personalities, different strengths, different weaknesses. It can be a challenge. Where two or more are gathered, there's going to be challenges, right?
Yeah.
So anybody out there struggling with thinking, how can I motivate this person? How should I train and develop this person? How should I hold this person accountable? How can these two types of people that are very different coincide and live in peace and work in harmony? Omnia is the tool, hands down. You had such a great presentation. I think you were so thorough and open that I don't have any questions, but I'll give it a minute. Does anybody have a question that you want to send in the Q&A or the chat for Miss Tanya while we have her? She is amazing. How long have you been with Omnia?
14 years.
14 years.
And I'm kind of the baby on the service side. I have people that's been here 20 and 23 years.
Wow.
And when you come on with us, you get all of that wealth of information, experience, and this is what I do all day is talk about profiles. So I talk about columns, I talk about how to help develop your people, as well as help you interview people that you're thinking about bringing on into the organization as well. That's what my team does all day.
Well, y'all do fantastic work. Fantastic work. This isn't some cookie cutter little personality assessment, pass, fail. No, this is an insightful tool that you think will be, I know will be an amazing resource for every single one of you watching this call live or the recording online. Kelly said, this is great information, but my struggle is finding the right people, even just to apply. Finding employees right now is tough. Yes, Kelly. Finding talent has been very, very tough. What I might recommend is that you check out our hiring course, Kelly, just to give a little plug for CWC. Chapter 4 of the hiring course is how we use Indeed resume search alerts to find candidates. I've been working with people in my programs, the agencies that I work with personally, and revamping how they're using Indeed resume search alerts, how we're reaching out to people. Don't be boring. I literally had somebody show me their email today, and it simply says, I found your resume on Indeed. I'd like to talk. Let me know when you're free. I was like, what? Come on, man. There's 3% unemployment right now. There's 2 to 3 open jobs for every candidate right now. The McDonald's down the street from my house, y'all, has a sign on the building that says $17 an hour. Okay. We got to revamp how we're recruiting, but check out chapter 4, Kelly, of the hiring process. You'll see Indeed resume search alerts. If you go into the hiring process packet, it's literally the very first page, but there's also other great resources within the hiring and staffing courses that will help you, and also great partners of ours, Team Hired, teamhired.com. They're fantastic. Hundreds of agencies are using them right now. Garland just said Indeed search alerts are great. Yes, they are. For years, it was my top source of recruiting. So I'll point you to that. But with that said, Tanya, you did an amazing job. Very insightful. I love the interactiveness too. How cool it was. You're getting people to interact and engage. Very insightful information. Omnia is amazing. I can't endorse it more. You're wonderful partners at CWC, and thank you for all that you do for our member agencies. Any final words from you before we send everybody back to work?
I just want to thank CWC for having us, and we enjoy our partnership as well and look forward to speaking to more people.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's get back to work. We've got team members to develop, agencies to transform. Y'all make it a great rest of the day. Have a great rest of the week. We're now in the 4th quarter. Can you believe it? 3 more months to finish the year strong. Let us know at CWC if we can help you or your team in any way, and definitely leverage Omnia and their fantastic program. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.